don't know why it says code error. I hope it's on YouTube. It says it's streaming. There's Dr. Anaheed. I'm going to grab the link though. Why is that not showing up? My YouTube has been acting funny, which I have an idea around that, but let's go see if we can find it. If not, we will go stick this one on. So hang on just a second.
Live now.
Oh yeah, live now. Second. Okay, good. We got it. So I'm going to go grab this and put it on our link so everybody can have it.
You want to see? You want to see Anaheed?
No, I don't see anything.
Almost ready.
No, I want to see Baden here.
You'll see Baden too.
No, I want to see Baden here.
You will.
Okay, that looks good.
There you go. Buddy.
Okay, so let's go down here. And where did Zoom go? There it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab Anaheed. I haven't heard you yet, Anaheed. Let me just go grab you. I'm going to promote you to, let's see, here we go.
Okay, great.
So I think you should be able to hear us, Anaheed.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, cool. And let me just make sure you can we can see you.
Okay.
Mute audio disable. Is there anything that says
I'm not getting video yet.
promote to panelists? I'm going to promote you to panelists. and see-
Yeah,
Over here, over here. Look on that floor.
okay, here I am.
There you are. Okay, good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're-
Hi, Ralph. Hi, Jennifer. I met you, a while ago now.
Yeah, at a very important meeting, and so
Yeah.
you would connect.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So what I wanted, and some of the people on your Facebook contacted us through your Facebook thing, and so hopefully they're watching too, and so very exciting.
Great.
Our people I know are going to be very excited to meet you, and I want to start by just letting everybody know a little bit about how this can work, because one thing that's really cool about hanging out with us right now for the next period of time is that things can be different even from the chair people are sitting in. So what you can do if you want, everybody, is just put an intention out to the universe, to God, a prayer. There's lots of stuff going on in the world right now that's pretty weird and scary for some people, and so just an intention of what you might like to see change, and then just let that go. And then I love to test things because we can see what's different right away. So I encourage anybody that's watching live or later to test how they move, and walk around a little bit, bend your back backwards and forwards, and just kind of take a moment to have a little pre-test, so that in a little bit we can ask again, like, okay, recheck, let's see how things are different. And if a shoulder goes from here to here, then we know something changed. And then over the day and over the next days, we can notice what else is different. And it's kind of like your work, the homeopathy, the right information at the right moment can be perfect for life-changing stuff for forever. So it's kind of cool to test something so that you can get a sense of it. And then I encourage people just to notice what's different over the day, the weekend, and just to make a little note like, that's a miracle, instead of discounting it and saying, oh, that was luck, or oh, that was weird, or oh, it couldn't have been from that. Because then you can keep the focus on, wow, there's some powerful forces in the universe, whether you believe in God or your higher self or innate healing or something. So we're going to start like that. and because I'm
love
so excited
that.
to have you on and hear your stories. So Jen will be in and out. That's how we roll. And if you
I love
while
it.
we'll have him go upstairs, but we'll see. There's. Let me see if I can move Beta.
Oh, so cute. Oh, playing. What is that? I forgot that name.
Connect 4.
Connect 4.
That's-
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in so long.
So,
Oh,
so yeah. Dr. Anaheed, a physician, and I love the way you describe yourself. And what physician actually is teacher. You know.
yeah, definitely.
I
Yeah, physician is a teacher. I'm a person too, right? I'm on my own journey through life. I have good days and bad days, and and we're all working together. And something that I wish would change is the doctor's ego, because doctors have a really big ego. And that's not good for you or the patient. I'm just a person too, and I want to teach people how to be their own healers, because that's completely possible.
That's big. That's completely possible. We'll go deep into that and hear some stories, because that's, I think, a missing link. People give away the power that they really have access to. How did you get started in even thinking about being a naturopath? Tell us a little of your backstory.
Yeah, so I grew up in Colorado, so right next to the mountains, and always wanted to be a doctor. That was always the goal. And then when I was in college, I was taking like all of the pre-med classes and took a biochemistry class. And at the time, a family member was put on a statin drug, and statins lower cholesterol. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I wonder biochemically, like what that's doing in their body. And so I started researching that, and come to find out through my research that statin drug inhibits the production of cholesterol. But in doing so, it inhibits vitamin D synthesis. It inhibits CoQ10 synthesis. CoQ10 is like a major nutrient that our heart needs to be healthy. And so I started thinking, like, why are they put on this drug? Like, is this drug hurting them more than, like, I don't know why they've been put on this. And so that got me thinking, like, what would I learn in medical school if I went to become a medical doctor? Would I actually learn how to heal people, or would I just learn how to put people on drugs?
Oh, so early on, you already had a sense to look and not just accept it. Because I've heard there was a really amazing podcast in the Journal of American Medical Association. Two of the editors, one from the online version and one from the pediatric version, were having a discussion about fluoride. And they said, yeah, it's really wild. We were taught in medical school that fluoride was good. It was like the savior for the teeth, and you'll get some pushback from parents, but just push right back, because it's all settled. Everything's fine. The science is solid. It's really good. And for years, that's what they did. And they were talking about how now there was a new study that came out, and there's been about 50 of them, but there was a new study that came out that said, oh no, actually it lowers IQ as much as lead does, and we really should be taking it out of the water. So these two doctors, the editors of JAMA, were having this conversation, and during it they realized, we never actually read the science in medical school. We was taught this, and then we went back and like, oh my goodness, it wasn't true. And so how did you come to even question that?
Yeah, I have to give all of that credit to my parents. Mostly my dad. My dad was a philosophy major, and he always told me to question everything. Always do your own research, question everything, like be your own person. And so I grew up with that mentality. I'm very close with my family, and I give all of that credit and ability to to do that to my parents because they taught me to be that way.
Wow. When you were going down that road, or let's go back up a little bit more, like, what do you think was even the reason to want to be a medical doctor?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I fell in love with biology in 9th grade when we started learning about the human body. Like, I was just so fascinated. And I loved working with people. Like, I just love working with people. I get energy. Like, after I have a consult with a patient, I'm like booming with energy and I'm so excited. And I just love teaching and helping and being that person where people can trust and like confide in, you know. And I love diving deep into like the depths of like how they're feeling, what they've been through, and like just holding that space for them, you know. And so I knew that was the path, but then I didn't know that my path would suddenly change into natural medicine.
That is so awesome. And so were there any when it started to break down around the statins, was it just an immediate shift, like, oh, I'm not going to be a medical doctor, and then let me go find out what else to do, or
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, like, so my parents taught me to always question everything, and I grew up with a very big conscience. Like, I always tell the truth. I always do what's right. Like, that is how I live my life. And so when I started diving into Western medicine and started seeing, oh, maybe these drugs are harming more than they're helping. And then I also started getting into nutrition at that time. And I was thinking, why aren't doctors telling patients how to eat? Because what we put in our body creates our body, you know? So we need to be eating healthy. And so when I started diving into that and kind of saw like the truth of Western medicine, I knew I could not be part of that. I could not be part of that consciously. Like, I could not live with that, knowing that I'm putting people on drugs that are not helping them.
And then did you just instantly know about naturopathic medicine?
No, I knew nothing about naturopathic medicine. And at that point, it was a really difficult time because I was pre-med in Boulder. So it was like the number 2 major. It was a huge major. All of my friends were pre-med. I knew nothing about what I was going to do. I became very depressed at that time because I didn't know what my purpose was anymore, you know. And then I was researching online, like, so much. I just would research and read things like all the time on my own time, and came across naturopathic medicine one night. And my heart just like bloomed. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is what I was supposed to do.
So it was a feeling, just do it, and it was a feeling.
It was literally from my heart. Like, it just came out of here. I started crying.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was supposed to do with my life. And it just was, you know, ever since that moment, I've never stopped. I enrolled right in medical school right after graduating college. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
In naturopathic in Portland.
Mm-hmm. And I moved to Portland.
That's awesome. And did you have to shift anything in you? Did you have to fix anything up? Did you have any health challenges? Did something happen along the way that influenced you in that way?
I did later when I discovered homeopathy. But at that point, no, I was, knock on wood, pretty healthy and happy.
That's pretty cool.
I did, well, I was struggling with an eating disorder at that time in college. Very stressful environment, you know, pre-med, not knowing what I was going to do with my life. I had a really bad relationship at the time. And so this was actually really huge. I started meditating. I would wake up in the morning and go on a hike before the sun came out and sit in the sun and like meditate and just get back in my body. And that's how I healed my eating disorder.
That body, I find that so cool too. And the exercise. So you were still in Boulder.
I was still in Boulder, so I would get up and go on a hike. I like woke up at 4:30 for like 3 months and would go hiking and sit in the sun as the sun was rising, and really developing self-love for the first time, I think, because I was never really taught that, you know, like.
It's interesting because you were taught so many amazing life skills to question, but that self-love thing. That's cool. And so then tell us a little bit about the shift towards homeopathy. Like what happened there?
So at naturopathic school, you learn many different modalities. We learn pharmaceuticals, we learn herbs, we learn nutrition, we learn water medicine, hydrotherapy, and then we learn homeopathy. And in my first year of school, again, my heart told me something in me just clicked when I heard a case, like a homeopathic case. And, you know, and I really think that's the big takeaway, is that we know all the answers already. It is inside of us. I call it like the intuition, and it's when my heart turns on. It turned on when I found naturopathic medicine. It turned on when I found homeopathy. It turned on when I met my husband and I knew that I was supposed to be with him. It's like that intuitive sense that we all carry. We need to develop that again. We're so lacking in that.
What did that feel like? Like, what is it like to be, it's the heart and this intuitive thing. What was that feeling?
It's just like where, at least for me, it's like where my mind keeps replaying that realization over and over. Like, oh wow, like this feels so right. Like this just feels so right. And you know, this is what I've been looking for. And like, it just is that same replay in my mind over and over. And that's when I know that, I don't know, it just feels right. Like it just feels like truth, like the deepest truth inside of me.
That is cool. And so I have a question about this. I'll say it first, but then I want to ask you to explain homeopathy a little bit. But so when you because homeopathy has so many remedies, and I love it because it's so many stories. And when I got my homeopathic remedy, it made so much sense because it made the exact same idea or story that a homeopath many years before had said. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're all tracking the same thing. And it made so much sense to me, like, oh, no wonder I'm doing what I'm doing for my life and how it's going. And when you work to find the right homeopathic remedy, and I want to talk about like, what is homeopathy and what do you mean remedy and all this stuff and the story of homeopathy, like each remedy seems to have a story. When you are doing this with clients, do you get a sense of, oh, this is right, this is a feeling state also, or is it more like your training just says this is the remedy for somebody?
No, it is, there's many ways to practice homeopathy, and I am a very intuitive homeopath, and I'm learning to grow that sense in me as a homeopath. And I'm actually, I take many homeopathic classes because, like you said, there's thousands of remedies, right? I mean, I will study this until I die, and I'm fascinated by it every single day. It never gets old. And I'm taking a class right now all about, it's called intuitive homeopathy.
Wow.
And so picking remedies based on that intuitive sense of how you feel, how the patient feels, what's the energy like in the room, what feels right. And I love that way of doing homeopathy.
Me too. And I don't do homeopathy, but we use information medicine, and it's like a feeling when you get touch the right information, there's a feeling that happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. And so, so can you just give people that might not be familiar with homeopathy, your basic, like what it is, and just, yeah, what is homeopathy?
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people say the term homeopathy and they think that means like elderberry syrup or nutrition, but homeopathy is its own distinct form of medicine. So I brought like a little homeopathic, bottle here. So this is homeopathy. So either pellets or liquids of very, very dilute substances. So we have remedies made out of plants, minerals, different animal parts like the milk of animals, the feather of animals, the venom of snakes. We have remedies made out of gemstones, bacteria, viruses. We have, and then a branch of homeopathy that I also practice because I work with a lot of people who have sustained medical injuries, maybe because of birth control or a vaccine or a medication they were given. We have remedies made out of those specific medicines or
Wow.
vaccines or pharmaceutical drugs. And so homeopathy is so diluted to the point where there's no molecules of the original substance left in the remedy. So when I give you homeopathic belladonna, I'm not giving you actual belladonna. I'm giving you the energy and the information of belladonna that then your body can assimilate, and that helps turn on your own healing energy again.
And it's cool to hear that, but we don't have to know how that works. Like, how can a dilute nothing thing that had the information or had the substance, but now it doesn't, how can that do something? We don't have to know it, because I don't even know how my cell phone works. I don't know how this works over the internet. I don't know how my car works, but I know how to turn the key. I know how to push the buttons. So that's kind of a cool thing, that we don't have to know how it works. We just have to know how to work it.
It's funny because a lot of people don't know, well, not a lot of people, our best leading scientists in the world still don't understand how SSRIs work.
Mhm.
They don't understand how different medicines are working, but yet we trust them because we have an idea of how they're working. And our science is not to the point yet where it can explain how homeopathy works. It will get there someday, just like we were able to explain all of these other phenomenons as our science evolves. Homeopathy works on a quantum energy level. That's what I personally believe. And our science is not there yet. We're still in a material world, like a physical world. But, like, what are we doing right now? Like, I'm talking to you, but I'm not giving you any physical thing, but yet you're understanding what I'm saying. So I'm exchanging energy with you in this conversation. And that is exactly what these remedies are doing.
That's so cool. I mean, I haven't researched this exactly, but I forgot where I got this, but somebody, I believe it was a doctor or somebody, said that the scientists, the doctors don't even know how anesthesia works. They know how to administer it, but they don't know where they go and what happens and how it actually works. I mean, that seems almost impossible, but I heard that. So it's like, yeah, we don't have to know how something works to know that it does work, because we can see the result and then just know how to make the button work.
Yeah. And at least for me, it's like my job is, and also with homeopathy, I am not healing people. When they come to me, I don't heal them. I give them a remedy that matches them, and their own body heals themselves. So this is an information that allows their body to get unstuck, because when you're in a cycle of disease or pain or whatever, your body always is trying to heal itself. That's what we do as humans until we take our last breath. And so these remedies just allow the body to get unstuck so that they're not, you know, in that cycle of being stuck and not healing, and it allows them to go on like they would have, you know? Does that make sense? Like we kind of get in these ruts where our healing energy just gets stuck, you know, and the remedy just pushes you so that you can heal again.
Yeah, I kind of like to tell the story of somebody has a cut, and if they get stitches and it heals, of course it was the person's body that healed them, not the stitches. But if it doesn't heal, maybe you got to see, oh, they're diabetic, and you got to get their blood sugar under control, and now it heals. Or maybe it's infected, and you got to get rid of that, and then it heals. And so it's the person's body that heals. But it sounds like your work is kind of like the way we think of the body, is that let's find out why it's not doing what it's doing, and it's doing something for a really good reason. I wonder what it's doing that for, and help and see if we can shift whatever that is, so the body can get on with a better level of functioning. It doesn't need to have that protection or that problem anymore.
Of course, and that's such a good point, because people, and I love the example of high blood pressure. So people with high blood pressure go to the doctor and they are put on drugs that physically lower their blood pressure. Okay, but the high blood pressure is not the problem. There is an underlying problem of why this person has high blood pressure. And the body is compensating for that problem by causing high blood pressure. And so by giving somebody a pill to lower their blood pressure, you're not addressing the problem. The blood pressure is a symptom of a problem, you know?
Yeah.
And so that is why, unfortunately, people do not ever heal, and they need to be put on these medications for the rest of their life. And then usually they need other medications because those medications cause side effects, which, you know, and it's like this snowball effect. When nobody looked at that underlying cause. Was it a stress issue? Was it a food issue? Was it a sleep issue? Was it, you know, like there could be many causes for high blood pressure. Why don't we look at that instead?
Yeah, I was just looking at something today, that anger can cause high blood pressure, and not forgiveness, holding on to some kind of anger and resentment. And so that's an interesting thing. So it can be all sorts of things. So I imagine there can be, somebody comes in with high blood pressure, there could be 10 people coming in with that and 10 different reasons why, or how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 10 different reasons why, because everybody is so different. And with homeopathy, and I often get asked, like, okay, so I have migraines. What remedy can I take? And I wish it were that simple, but it's not, because maybe my migraines include nausea and vomiting, and it starts on the left side and then it moves to the right, you know, and I want to be in a cool, dark place. Whereas your migraines, maybe they are almost like a hammer, is somebody like hammering you, you know? So it's like a completely different feeling, sensation, different symptoms. That is why, you know, those two people would get two different homeopathic remedies, because I'm treating two different presentations of a migraine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I lost my thought there but yeah, that makes perfect sense. The homeopaths that I saw, one many years ago, I was just going because he did this type of meditation, and so to meditate with him, you had to go hang out with him for a couple hours first, and he did. It was incredible. He was amazing, and after a couple of hours of asking me all these questions about myself, he came and whispered one word in my ear and said, "That's your mantra." And I'm like, "Wow." And so I looked it up to what it meant. And then years and years later, I had met another homeopath, and he that was a whole story of how a very miraculous, you know, serendipity kind of way of meeting this guy, and then getting a session from him. And it was a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. And after all this, he just started laughing. And he said, oh, I forgot his words, but basically, man, this is all shifting for you. This is going to be so cool. And then he told me the remedy, and I looked that one up, and the story of that was the same idea with the guy's mantra from before. And so, as I looked through my life, it's like, oh my goodness, this is why I want what I want, and why I'm doing my version of what I'm doing. So, so the stories really interest me about homeopathy. Like, it can be quite like a book or something, like a story. Like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I know I sent my brother to a homeopath, and my brother got out of the meeting. And when I meet with somebody, I take my time. It's usually like a 90-minute, maybe 2-hour visit, whatever ends up being.
Yeah.
I'm there to listen to them, and I'm healing as they're healing. Like, it's an amazing experience. And my brother got out of that meeting and said, whoa, like, that guy knows me better than like everybody on this earth. Just because when you meet with a homeopath, you really get to know that person on many, many different levels. Their physical level, their mental, their emotional level, their spiritual level, because you're trying to find a remedy that fits all of that.
Yeah, that's so similar to the way we think about healing as well. Jen's dad told me that I knew him better than I worked on him for a long time, because he was doing a trade working on our house, and it was so cool to have him here for a long time. But he said, you know me better than my wife. And I also do longer first sessions, and I know, anyway, yeah, it's like, I thought, man, if this guy's mom, who I also know, ever listened to his last hour and a half, she'd cry, and she would feel a lot of like, yeah, it goes very deep. And then when you touch that information, as soon as you touch it, when does the healing start?
And you know what, Ralph, this is a really, really interesting thing, because even as a homeopath, and I love homeopathy, and I take remedies, and I take many different remedies, whatever I need in the moment, as a homeopath, I know that these remedies are amazing, but at the same time, we have the internal power, that internal healing to overcome whatever we're dealing with without these remedies. The remedies people need, a lot of us are very busy, and we're not really in tune and like really set, grounded, knowing our intuition. We need a little bit of help. And I'm the same way, right? Like, I need a remedy sometimes, but the healing can happen without these remedies too. And that's something that I am exploring myself right now, is trying to do that self-healing that we all have the ability to do.
No wonder we met and connected. That's awesome. That is so awesome. It's just like.
So when you take a remedy, the healing starts right as soon as that remedy hits your mouth. It really does. Just like that person whispered that mantra into your ear, that healing started right then. The healing for me, healing from my eating disorder, that was horrible. I was so sick with that. The healing started when I started getting back into my body and starting to love myself and saying, like, I love you. Like, you're good enough. You don't need to be skinny, and you don't need to be these things.
Wow. So you were led on a plan, a journey to get your healing, and it came from those hikes and the going up and seeing the sun, and having these moments when you said, no, not MD, and then said, oh, naturopathic doctor, and then said, oh, homeopathic physician. It was like a bit of information that then just went zoom.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I really think that we each have our own path. Like, we all have a path beautiful, beautiful path that's there laid out for us, whether we believe in God or the spiritual world, or I call it the universal energy personally. And if we can live in accordance with our own intuition, that everything that needs to happen will happen just as it should, and that we will learn all of the lessons we need to learn along the way, you know, and it's not going to be all rainbows and and smiles, right? Because we have to learn lessons sometimes, and that's why life gives us troubles. But if we live in accordance with our intuition, things naturally fall into place and we live with ease instead of like always hitting ourselves against a wall trying to get things done. Maybe that's not the right path. It should flow. Things should flow when we're on that intuitive living.
Yeah, and when you don't flow, it might be the information or the thing or the remedy or the person to see, or what's the thing that can shift whatever that is that seems like a block, and then you're back feeling like, oh yeah, this is I'm in the flow again or something.
Yeah, definitely. At least in my life, when I make decisions based on that intuitive knowing, like that feeling that I get, everything just blossoms and comes into place. It's amazing. Like going to ND school, you know, that was a feeling. And then everything worked out. Like my parents were on board and they helped me to move, and I found this place, and everything just fell into place like a storybook, you know.
Is that how you picked your where you're located? Because you're in Battleground, Washington, right?
Yeah, so I know. So yeah, I'm actually out here in Amboy, so even further north, so out in the country.
Wow.
And it was so cool. My husband, we bought some land out here, and the land came with a barn, and my husband turned the barn into a house.
Wow.
And so we live in this beautiful barn house that my husband built for us.
Wow, how cool.
Yeah.
About how
And
much
it came with a cat. So we have a cat now because she lived here before we did.
you're in her house. That's cool. Wow, that's so cool. And you work with a lot of different people. And one of the groups are people that, you know, can you just describe like some of the kids you work with and some of the and maybe adults too, but the ones that I forgot some of the diagnoses, but you know, mental, emotional, spiritual, trauma,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with, I feel like as our society gets unfortunately sicker and sicker, you know, like we are kind of on that path with everything we're doing and all of the suppressive medications and all of the foods and the toxins, that turns into mental and emotional problems. Like first comes physical and then it goes deeper. And so I always address mental emotional things. So I'm working with a few patients now, anxiety, depression, PTSD stuff, you know. And this medicine is so healing for that because it allows them to come back into their body and process whatever it was that happened. And I know of no drug that can do that for anybody. And to really allow them to heal from the experience and start to live their lives again. And you can do that through homeopathy or Chinese medicine or meditation. Like there are multiple ways to get there. Homeopathy is just something that I personally my intuitive sense just turned on with that one. But there's many ways to get to that place.
That's really cool how open you are. That was another thing I got from another naturopath teacher of mine that talked about all the possibilities and all the different ways, which is so refreshing. to hear from a medical physician, you know, or from anybody. Actually, we all have our beliefs about what it is that helps and what doesn't help, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I try to, well, I do have an open mind. I'm very open-minded with everything, and I always do my own research because
What
so
do
many
you
times in my life I thought I knew the answer to come to find out that it was completely the opposite, you know. So
what was something that surprised you because you questioned everything? Anything that really surprised you, like the medical system, that probably surprised you, but now we look back on that and we can go, oh well, God, no wonder, man. Doesn't surprise me anymore, you know, when you hear something like that. But anything these days that surprised you that might be like different or unique, or like, wow, that was something that surprised me when I questioned that and found something.
you know, there have been multiple things. Nutrition was very surprising because at the time I was very, very strict and wanted to be a raw vegan.
Interesting.
And that was not what my body, that's not how my body works. It definitely works for some people, but it doesn't work for my body. And so relearning how to eat again when I was so gung-ho on that diet being like my savior, you know, that was a really big epiphany for me. And so I often get asked a lot, oh, what's the best diet? And I have to say, you have to listen to your intuitive sense because my body is different than your body. And I can't tell you what is the perfect diet.
It's amazing coming from you as a naturopath and somebody that studied nutrition, because I've kind of come to what we see as really useful with an ancestral way of eating, you know, Weston Price kind of idea. But there are some people that then go like the medical medium route and do all these juicing and vegan, I believe, and
Yeah.
do really well. Yeah, so that's cool that you.
And you know what? I think it is, Ralph, because I personally, we eat a Weston A. Price style diet. That's how we eat now. But we have to keep in mind that in different parts of our lives, we need different diets.
Mm-hmm.
And in different healing journeys, we need different things. Like if I had, like right now, you know, I'd love to start a family within the next year. So of course I'm going to be eating a Weston A. Price diet. Like I need those fats in order to get pregnant. But when I'm, you know, maybe after menopause, you know, I don't need that anymore. So I can go on a juice fast.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's appropriate for that time and place and where I am in that part of my life. And so we are ever evolving, ever changing. And with the field of nutrition, I don't, what I tell my patients, eat organic as much as possible and, you know, as much as you can, intuitively eat. And I do, you know, offer like if you're gonna do dairy, I would recommend raw dairy, you know, grass-fed dairy and like all of these things. But we all need different things at different times. And that is why I think the field of nutrition is such a hotly debated topic because we're trying to find that perfect answer and it's always changing. That's the answer.
It's cool. When you work with people or interact with people, I guess work with people, and they're looking for your advice as they do their remedy and get the right information and start to be on their path and in the flow. Do they just naturally start to find their intuitive sense and not just be fooled by what they think, but there really are it's correct information for them? Or do you have a certain way that you recommend them tune into their intuition?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think that these remedies are a piece of the puzzle. They definitely help people. And when people are out of pain and they're out of their suffering state, they are they have an easier time connecting with themselves when they're not hung up on this emotional pain or physical pain. You know, I'm working with someone that has been in chronic pain for 20 years. and she's finally starting to sleep again. And that is going to cause so much healing, her being able to sleep because she's not in pain, which is going to allow her to be happier and healthier. And that is going to lead her to connect with herself. And so something that, and you bring up a good point that I need to do more of with patients is to teach them to connect with that in whatever way, whether that's meditation or yoga or exercise or getting barefoot and walking outside. I think that is like one of the best medicines that we can do. That's completely free.
Look at the sun come up and on the earth.
yeah, like take off your plastic shoes and start grounding. Like that is such good medicine. If that was a pill, everybody would take it.
Yeah. Maybe right now, let's see, my intuition, it's coming from my throat, so maybe that's a useful thing. Maybe if anybody wants to just drop into their body, like you were talking about, I forgot how you said it, but connected in the body and just notice what's happening in your body. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, just notice. And I mean, I'm guilty of being so busy that I often don't check in with myself. But, before I go to sleep, I love to just stretch out the day and like try to get relaxed and try to get centered. And I personally like to tell myself, like, you can talk to yourself like you talk to your best friend or your husband or your wife or your partner. Talk to yourself like that. Just be like, I love you. Like, you did such a good job today. And when you talk to yourself like that, it comes out so sweet and it just feels so good.
That is really good. I'm going to use that. That's cool. Yeah. You can talk to your kids. And when you not when they're misbehaving.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing because I'm often, or like I write little notes to myself, like little sticky notes, like, I love you, like I give up my husband, he's like, he rolls his eyes at me a little, but I have little sticky notes places and, I'm just always trying to do that. And it helps, like it helps me, it helped me heal from my eating disorder. Like that's what I did. I just always wrote like, I love you, like you're worth it, like you're gonna get through this.
Not like an affirmation, more like a really loving parent or best friend telling you. That's a whole nother way to do it. You're not like trying to write as an affirmation like, I hope I get it. It's like you're receiving it from yourself. Wow, that is so cool.
Awesome. I am so glad you like that. I love doing that, for myself. That's what works for me. There's a million ways to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk about the right information at the right time. I love that. What do you think is the biggest result you've had for yourself or the biggest transformation you've had so far through all this?
The biggest transformation, I mean, I knock on wood, really take care of myself. Like I, eat well, exercise, take remedies. What really got me started into homeopathy is I had been dealing with chronic menstrual pain. Like it was severe, like 10 out of 10, I could not function, and was given a remedy, like an $8 remedy, which completely healed me. I've never had that ever again.
That was like a one-time remedy?
It was a one-time remedy. It was a one-time. Like I took 3 pellets underneath my tongue. That's when the healing started. And since that day, I have never had chronic debilitating menstrual pain.
Wow. That must have been, was that like the thing that really was like sealed the deal for homeopathy?
That sealed the deal for me. Also, what sealed the deal, my grandma on my dad's side was suffering from trigeminal neuralgia
Whoa.
for, and the trigeminal nerve, it has like 3 branches, and people have, it's excruciating pain, like pain so bad sometimes
Oh,
they want to
people
kill
themselves for
themselves.
that one. Yeah, that's
Because it's like, think about like a dart going through your skull over and over and over, right? And there's no treatment, it's just pain medication. I knew nothing really about homeopathy. I went online to Google. I went to Google and I typed in trigeminal neuralgia homeopathy. And I was reading through a list of remedies and found a remedy that fit her symptoms. Remember, because everybody's symptoms are different, that's why we have to match the remedy to the person, not like, oh, trigeminal neuralgia, you
right.
get this,
Yeah.
right? And so gave her that remedy, and it healed her. She does not have that anymore.
How long did it take from remedy to healed?
It took about, so I had to do one, so we have different potencies.
All right.
So I did like a lower potency, which helped, but it didn't stick. It was coming back. And then I did a higher potency one time. And then from that moment, it just didn't come back.
That is so cool. That is
And so those 2 instances completely sealed the deal for me, because if you look up in any medical textbook, there's no cure for trigeminal neuralgia yet. And that's what I want to teach people. Like, I went to Google, like, people can do this, if they know about this medicine and they know that they have the ability to do this.
Yeah. What do you think the principle is there, that if people could understand one thing that would transform their lives, what would you tell them is that if something could shift in the way that they think, because you're shifting your whole entire belief system of what's possible, and by finding the right bit of information, anything else you want to say about like people dealing with all these different conditions, what would you want them to know that could make a big difference as they go following their heart and finding their remedy?
And it doesn't have to be homeopathy. There's multiple ways to get there. There's multiple ways. And if people can just take a breath, take a breather, that diagnosis, to give somebody a diagnosis is, in my opinion, pretty harmful, because then they get stuck on that diagnosis and they start to think, I am this. I am a diabetic. I am hypertensive, right? And just take a breather away from everything and everybody telling you what to do, including doctors, and just try to get in touch with, what do you need to do? What do you need to heal? What is that thing that you've, like maybe like a talk that you need to have with somebody, or like something that you've kind of pushed in the back burner, or like you've been craving moving and like losing weight, like just let your body talk to you and get away from everybody telling you what to do all the time. Take a breather and connect with yourself and know that you have the answers. Nobody has that for you, not even me. I don't have the answers for people. They have the answers, and they need to connect with that again.
That's so cool. That's how I believe too. And I think that's another good time right now, as people have put their intention in and they're hearing you and hearing this, just to go inside your body, even right now, if you want, for just a moment. Let's just go inside our bodies and just notice what's happening in there without needing to fix it or even understand it. And just whether it feels good or bad or tight, but maybe getting away from the labels of a diagnosis, or even label of, oh, this is fear, or this is anxiety, or I'm all stressed, or I've got this problem and I'm worried it's a problem like this. It's just like, if we could maybe go notice what's happening even in this moment without words. Yeah, that feels awesome.
Yeah, and then also just like getting in touch with that, because how does that play into like actionable items, getting in touch with your body. I think also self-love, and I know everybody talks about that, but we're very much lacking that, you know. And so doing affirmations or telling yourself you love yourself, or like literally hugging yourself, whatever you need to do to start to foster that trust and love and connection with your own body. Like, this is a vessel that our soul lives in, that we will leave one day. And we have to foster that communication and connection with that vessel for us to be healthy.
That is awesome. Yeah. And then yeah, perfect. And what's the best way? Thank you for being with us. And
Yeah,
Jen,
this is
moving around,
so
she's
great.
like moving around. This happens, it tends to happen. Like sometimes we get Jen a little longer, and sometimes Baden gets Jen a little longer.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Olympia, January 14th, just in case you're down that a ways or up that a ways for you. But um, what's the best way? We'll post your site. But do you want to just say your the best way for people to contact you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty active on Facebook, and I have started teaching videos about health, specifically homeopathy, but I'll branch out into other things as well.
That's also that's going to be the Friday thing that you're doing.
Yeah. So the Friday thing. So I had a whole lecture on treating the flu with homeopathy last week. And then prior, I did treating infections, because you can treat infections. And we need to know how to do that with our antibiotic resistant superbugs, right? We need to have those tools. And so the best way to reach me is following me on Facebook, Anaheed Jackson, Anaheed Jackson, or my professional page. I post to both, is at Ana Jackson ND.
Anna
Jackson ND. And I'm just making a bunch of videos for our community teaching about homeopathy, because this is medicine of the people. And 100 years ago, everybody knew what this medicine was. Everybody had these in their cabinet, and we need to get back to that place. So,
and that's a whole other discussion of what happened, why we don't have them all over the place.
and I'm making a video on that right now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So, yeah, I'm trying to make shorter videos. I'm sorry, you guys, my videos are like an hour long.
Well, it's awesome.
I get so in depth, and I get so excited about these remedies. So I'm trying to make them shorter, streamline it. So the best way to reach me through Facebook, through my email, that's the best way. And just come and learn. Like, I'm just trying to teach people, is what I'm trying to do, and get people aware of all of the options that they have when it comes to their health.
That is awesome. Well, I will post that everywhere, and I'm going to be watching. And
Okay.
and it'd be cool to have you on again whenever you feel like you want to. We're going to send everybody to your videos and stuff, but if you ever feel like I want to talk more, I'll reach out to you again. But it'd be great to have you on again. And
I would love that. Thank you so much, and I really, really appreciate this. It's so great to talk with you.
I'm very grateful, very happy. It's like awesome. And I just had a feeling maybe it'd be cool. I watched Baden, and even though he keeps like, "Where's Mama?" and Jen gets to interview you. That would be kind of cool.
That would be great. That would be great. I'll see you on the 14th. I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll see Jen, I think.
Oh, and I'll see Jen. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm taking Ben to his Trailblazers, the first day of his run.
That would be really fun.
Here, but I'll miss everybody down there. And that's a whole nother discussion, but we'll talk about all that. And thank you so much for being on. I really, really enjoyed this. Really great information, important information. So good. So I'll send you a message, and we'll just see how else we keep continuing to hang out. And there goes.
Perfect. Bye. See you soon.
There he goes. Okay.
Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much.
Val. I'll
Thank
see you again.
See you again. Okay. Bye
Okay,
now.
bye.